Hey yo, what's good, Brush King? Hey man, I just wanted to let you know, I don't think these people really know and respect AG, you know what I'm saying? They probably see the name in the card, they say AG wash method, but I don't think they understand that she in the Wave Hall of Fame. And to me, in my personal opinion, her wash method is the best method when it comes to washing your brushes. And I honestly don't think a lot of people really following it the way it's supposed to be. Yeah man, I can make a video on it, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get on it right now. Alright man, for sure. Hey yo, what it do? It's your boy J Lou. I'ma show you how to wash your brush to make it look new. Alright, now in this video, what I'm going to be doing is the official AG's wash method. You guys just found this video just in time because a lot of people have been looking for this. A lot of people have been messing their brushes up. But what I'm going to show you how to do is how to wash your brushes. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a brush that's already cracked to show you that this method will still help you. And before I get started, I want to give a big shout out to Brush King because a lot of you guys don't understand. But whenever you buy any kind of brush from Brush King, what comes in your box is this hairbrush maintenance card right here. Now what this thing does is it gives you guys the information that you need, and on the inside is AG's infamous wash method. I'm going to go through in this demonstration and show you every single step by step the right way. Now the brushes I'm going to be using, I'm going to be starting off with this flat palm brush right here just to show you guys. This is probably my dirtiest brush that I have. Most of my brushes don't get super dirty like that because I wash my hair. I try to keep my hair as clean as possible, you know what I'm saying? Now if you're washing your hair once a month or once every 2 months, that's the reason why your brush is going to get dirty. I don't recommend that, but if that's what you like doing, then do what you do. Now the next two brushes I'm going to be using, both of them are curves. This is the OG Torino Pro Curve, and as you guys can see, it has a sticker on it. And if you take a closer look, this one is dirty. You really can't, it's hard to tell because the paint is dark as well as the bristles are black, but this one is probably my dirtiest curve. And then this is a new school Torino Pro. As you can see, because this one has a little bit clearer bristles, you can see that this bad boy is pretty dirty as well. But in this video, I'm gonna go through every single step, so let's not waste any more time and let's get straight into it. Alright, so the things that you're gonna need, you're gonna need some dirty brushes. The next thing you're gonna need is a comb. Now you can use a regular comb like one of these bad boys. I'll make sure I leave a link in the description of where you can buy these combs, but I also recommend that you actually go out there and buy a brush cleaner. I'll make sure I link this one down below as well, because with this brush cleaner, one side has these teeth to help you rake through your brush, and the other side can be used to scrub through some of the dirt and the ground that's at the bottom of your brush. The next thing that you're going to need to do this method is a shampoo. Now you can use a clarifying shampoo as it's stated on the package, but what I try to do is just use regular shampoo. The shampoo that I'm going to be using today, and this is the Dr. Bronner's Pure Hemp Rose Oil soap. It's not really just shampoo. You can use this for a lot of different things, you know what I'm saying? But I like using this one because I use this from head all the way to toe, and I also use it on my bristles. Alright, so with that being said, let's get into the first step. So for the first step, what you have to do is you have to use a comb to remove all the hairs and debris from the brush. When you start off using this bad boy, what you will notice is this thing has ridges and grooves right here. Whenever I hold it, what I do is I put my fingers right there in those ridges and grooves to be able to get a good grip on this thing, to be able to rake it through my brushes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this portion of the comb of my hairbrush cleaner and basically just go through with the brush face down to the sink and then just scrub it all the way down. The main reason why I want to do that is because, as you can see, a lot of the dirt will start appearing on the hairbrush cleaner, and you don't want that stuff to flick up into the air, so you want to flick it down into the sink. And as you're raking through your brush, what you want to do is make sure these bristles are all the way at the surface level of it, and then you just apply an even pressure all the way through. Alright, so as you can see, my brush is pretty dirty. I don't want to keep this on camera too long because at the end of the day, this is about cleaning your brush. But every now and then, what you may have to do is also clean off the actual brush cleaner. Alright, now one thing I try to do is I'll go in this direction, and then once I've had enough of that, what I'll do is I'll flip the brush around and I go in the opposite direction. You can even turn your brush to the side. Alright, so when it comes to this step, what you will do is just basically just take a closer look at your brush and just try to see if most of the dirt at the bottom of the base of the brush is cleaned out. What you may notice is that there's still some specks of dandruff, but you don't worry about that. You'll get that cleaned up in the next step. So make sure you rinse this thing off as well as your hands before moving on. As you can see, just at first glance, this brush is pretty dirty. This is one of my workhorses. These are one of the brushes that I use a lot. It's also one of my travel brushes, so this bad boy is dirty. But at the same time, I'm gonna show you guys how to get this clean. So the same steps like I told you guys before, make sure your bristles are facing downward towards the sink. And with this combing step, it just really depends on how long it'll take you to get through this process. I'm not gonna give you guys a time limit. It's just basically you comb through it until you feel like you got most of the debris clear from your brush. So every time I get done with a section, what I do is I take a quick look at it. Typically what happens is if I'm brushing this direction, most of the dirt at the top half of the brush is going to get cleared out. And what I notice when I look at it is the top surface is a lot more cleaner than the bottom surface. So that's the reason why I flip the brush to be able to clean off this other end of the brush. So let's get into it. And the same thing as before, what you want to, if you want to, what you can do is flip the brush to the side and then just sweep through every single side. Now with this step, you would have to go up and down the brush, but this definitely helps you get a thorough cleaning of all debris, any dandruff, any caked up products and stuff like that on your bristles. Now, once you're done cleaning and combing throughout your brushes, let's go on to the next step. The next step in this process, what you're going to do is apply a clarifying shampoo, run your fingers or the brush cleaner through the bristles until you see all of the bristles foam up. Now, this is where I give my disclaimer. You can use a clarifying shampoo if you want. If you want to do that, you don't have to buy an expensive clarifying shampoo. You can just go out there and buy a cheap VO5 clarifying shampoo from Walmart. I think it's like for $1 or something like that. But this is what I'm going to be using today, but you don't have to use this. You can use whatever you want. Alright, so this is one of the most important steps because a lot of people tend to mess up and they'll apply water to it and all that. All over the directions. It just simply says apply shampoo. The way I'm going to apply my shampoo is just like this. You angle your brush at the side so most of the shampoo and the soap gets on your bristles. If it gets on the base of the brush, that's okay, but you just mainly want to get it on the bristles, and I'm going to use my fingers on the first pass. When you're using your fingers, one thing you want to try to do is get your fingers all the way down to the face of the brush, and as you will see, it'll begin to foam up. Now, like I tell you guys all the time, when you're washing your hair, usually the first wash is not going to cleanse your hair all the way through. You're going to have to wash twice. So with this step, you may have to do it 2 times until you see all of the bristles foam up. But what you want to try to do is get an even distribution of the soap or shampoo that you choose to use all the way around the bristles to help cleanse them out the first round. Alright, so once you've done that for the first brush, what you want to do is immediately go into step 3. Step number 3 says you want to use cold water only. Quickly rinse out the brush in 10 seconds or less. Do not submerge your brush or use hot water. Wood absorbs water, which makes the wood expand and then crack. Additionally, using hot water on bristles will soften and weaken them. Never submerge your brush using hot water. This is a sure way to damage your brush. You guys probably can't see it in the frame, but I've turned it all the way cold. You don't want to immediately put your brush in the water. What you want to do is wait till it gets cold. Now with this step, the most important thing is the same way I apply the shampoo, I try to only apply the shampoo towards the bristles. That's what you're going to do next. All you're going to do is just simply rinse off your bristles underneath the water for 10 seconds or less. For me, I just try to go for 5 seconds. Now, one thing you may notice is by doing it that way, it may not get all of the soap or shampoo out of it. But like I told you guys, I always try to cleanse my brushes twice because the second time you cleanse it, what it'll do is it'll foam up a lot better. And when you rinse it out, you'll be more so rinsing out the foam rather than the soap and the shampoo that are on the bristles. So at this point, what I'm going to do is go back into step number 2, which is applying the shampoo again. You don't have to do this step. This is just something I personally do. If you feel like your brush is clean the first time, you can just move on. But as you guys can see, I only applied the shampoo on the face of the bristles right here and lets it drip all the way down. Now, I'm going to give you guys a tip and a secret. What I try to do, if you don't have a brush cleaner, what you can do is get another brush, a very similar brush that has a very similar feel. This is the Torino Pro 6451. Both of these brushes feel about the same. If you don't want to use your fingers or if you don't have a brush cleaner, all you have to do is just take 2 brushes together and then simply brush through like this. And as you guys will begin to see, that shampoo, look at that. Look at that lather. You know what I'm saying? Now, the main reason why I recommend doing this is something that I added to AG's wash style method. This allows you to be able to clean your brushes faster. Instead of you washing 1 brush at a time, you can wash 2 brushes at a time. You know what I'm saying? Everything I try to do is to try to help speed up the process whenever it comes to waving. So this is something I just personally do. You don't have to do this, but I recommend doing it if you want to cut down as well as wash more brushes in one sitting. Alright, so now we can go back to step number 3 again, which is rinsing it. When it comes to the 10 seconds, the 10 seconds applies to the water going on the face of the brush. What I try to do is only rinse the bristles off. You can rinse the bristles off underneath the water for longer than 10 seconds, but you want to try to make sure that the water does not come in contact with the wood. That is a very important step. But once the water begins to touch the face of the brush, you only want to give that 10 seconds before you remove it from the water. So let's get into it. Once again, I'm going to wait, make sure it gets cold. At this step, I'm only rinsing off the bristles. The face of the brush is not in the water. Alright, now with the 10-second rule, like I told you guys, what you want to do, you don't want to put all of the brush underneath the water. What you want to do is just put the water at the face of the brush to be able to get at the base level of the brush to rinse off all of the soap. As you can see, boom, that's 10 seconds. That's all you need. Now when I'm done with this, what I'm going to do is put the brush on the face level right here, rinse my hands off, and go into step number 4. With step number 4, what you guys are going to notice is it says using a small towel, pat dry your brush and shake off excess water into the towel. So what I always tell y'all on my page is I just use a regular t-shirt. This is 100% cotton. You know what I'm saying? You can use whatever you want. You can use a regular towel. But what I'll do is the first thing I'm going to try to dry off is the face of the brush, because you don't want the water to be wet for a very long time period. So I'm going to dry off the entire brush like that, keeping the bristles face down while I'm drying it off. The main reason why I'm doing that is because I don't want the water to drip back onto the brush while I'm drying it off. And with step number 4, what you're going to do is basically blot it like this. And as you will see, water is starting to come out the brush and it's starting to get absorbed into the t-shirt. Once that gets to a point to where that's pretty wet, just go to another dry side. As you can see, it's not as wet, but what I try to do is I try to get to a side where I'm doing this and I don't see any specks. Now with that one, I really don't see anything, not too much, you know what I'm saying? So now my first brush is clean. As you guys can take a quick little look at it. But what I'm going to do while I'm cleaning the rest of my brushes is I'm going to put this brush to the side with the bristles face down. So just like that. Now before I get into step number 5, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean off my curved brushes and kind of give you guys some tips in regards to steps 2 through 3. So let's get into it. So like I told you guys before, you want to take your shampoo, and if you guys didn't see it the first time, what I'm going to do is just simply just allow the soap to be able to just only go into the bristles. It's going to soak it through, you know what I'm saying? Alright, so once that's done, like I showed you guys before, with the oval brushes, what you can do with your curved brushes, if you want to do the same step of cleaning both brushes at the same time, what I've learned is the best way to do is basically put the brushes like this, and I start off by brushing it like that. What this does, it cleans this brush first, and then to clean the second brush, what you want to do is just simply go up and down. One of the reasons why boar bristle is very great is because it mimics human hair. Whenever you're washing your normal hair, when you wash your hair the first time through, it won't lather up a lot, because if you have dirt or products within the bristles or within your hair, it'll make it hard for the soap to be able to fully lather. Now with this first step, you won't see any foam, but what I said to you guys earlier is simply go to step number 3 and rinse off only your bristles with the cold water, and then get back into the second wash. So let's get into it. Always test with your finger to make sure that the water's cold, and then just simply rinse off the bristles underneath the cold water. You don't want the water to hit the face of this brush at all. Now I know some people may say,
hey yo J. Lou, how am I clean the brush all the way through if I don't let the water hit the face of the brush?
I'm gonna explain it to you guys. So I'm gonna do this next brush right quick, and then I'm gonna get into those steps. Remember guys, it's only the bristles this time through. Now, I'm gonna put this red brush on this side to make sure that any water doesn't go on the face of the brush. I'm gonna grab my shampoo again and just drizzle some soap onto the bristles only. Now this time through, you should be able to see more foam onto these bristles, so let's get into it. Boom, look at it. Like I told you guys, just like human hair, you know what I'm saying? The first wash won't clean your brush all the way through, but the second wash definitely will. Now with your curved brushes, you want to try to clean these bad boys as fast as possible, because at the end of the day, they have bigger holes and they have a greater potential of water getting on the inside of them. And that's one reason why I recommend cleaning both of your curves at the same time, because the faster you do this, then the less of a chance you'll have to be able to crack your curved brush. Now I'm going to put the red one on its side with the bristles face down because I don't want the soap or the water to try to get back on that brush. And I'm going to rinse this one off. Like I told you already before, you can rinse the bristles off as long as possible, as long as the bristles are only being touched by the water. But as soon as the water touches the face of the brush, you only have 10 seconds to rinse the brush off. So let's get into it. Only the bristles. Make sure I get most of the soap off. Only the bristles, only the bristles. And then now since I put the water at the face of the brush, 10 seconds. Alright, now for me that was a little bit longer than 10 seconds because my water pressure is pretty low. But that's all you have to do is go back to step number 3. Now I'm going to put this brush face down while I rinse off the red brush. Only the bristles underneath the water. You can leave them under there as long as possible. And you really want to try to do this from the side because if you do it from this angle, what'll happen is you'll have the water hitting the face of this brush right here. So you want to try to do this from the side to help prevent any cracking. Now once it hits the face of the brush, try to rinse it all the way through for only 10 seconds. Alright, now if you have a lot of brushes to clean, using a t-shirt alone, it may not be the best in your best interest, so you may have to go with a towel, but you always want to make sure whatever you're using to dry your brushes is dry as well. So with this, what I'm going to do is just simply use the towel and then dry the brush off, the finish of the brush off first. Then you focus on the bristles. Now with this, like I told you, make sure your bristles are down and you simply just pat it like this. And then now I'm going to dry the second brush off. Make sure you dry the finish and the face of the brush off first, then you go into the bristles. Always make sure you're using the dry part of the towel. You can go through like that, or you can just pat dry like this. Alright, now for the 5th step in this process, what you're going to do is you will need a blow dryer with the cool setting to be able to use to blow dry and alternate between the cool and hot settings for 2 minutes at a time. You want to alternate between the hot and cold until the bristles are dry. So for me, what I did, I just simply went to Walmart. I bought this little cheap Revlon. This is a blow dryer. As you can see, this has the cool setting right here. All I have to do is just push this button and it'll blow cold air. But then it has the off, the low, and the high. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not pressing this will blow out hot air. But if I am pressing this button, it'll blow out cold air. Now with this step, before you plug this bad boy in, make sure your hands are completely dry because you don't want your hands to be wet when you're plugging this into the wall. So let's get into it. Alright, so like I told you guys, with this bad boy right here, this one was very cheap from the store. With a blow dryer, I don't recommend using heat, especially on curved brushes, because at the same time, not only does hot water expand the wood, but heat expands anything, you know what I'm saying? So you really don't have to use the hot setting. What you can simply do is use the cold setting, and that will help dry your bristles off, because honestly, it's not about the heat drying your bristles off, it's just allowing as much airflow to be able to dry your bristles off. I don't recommend using the heat because anytime you use heat to anything, it expands it, whether if it's hot water, hot air, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So with this step, I'm only going to use the cool setting to be able to dry off my brushes. I'm going to go with 2 minutes on every single one. So let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into it. Now when you first turn it on, you'll feel that it's coming out as hot, but once you press this button, it will blow higher, and you wait till it feels cold in your hand. So I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. And all you do is simply dry it off like this. Now one thing I recommend doing during this step is you can take your finger, and while you are taking the blow dryer, you can run your finger over the bristles like this to help space the bristles out, and that'll help you dry your brush off a little bit faster. So I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about right now. Alright, so that's the first brush. I can run my fingers through this and feel that this bad boy is dry, but that doesn't mean that it's completely dry. So that's the reason why step number 6 is included in this hair brush maintenance card. And what step number 6 says is, with the bristles facing down, allow the brush to air dry on top of a towel for at least 3 hours. Next, rotate your brush so that the bristles are facing up and allow at least 2 more hours to completely dry. Now within step number 6, you really don't have to turn the brush. Like, you start off with the bristles facing down on the towel and things like that, and then you turn it over after 3 hours. You really don't have to turn it over like this. You can just leave your brush straight down like that, because at the end of the day, when it comes to these brushes, if there's any water entrapped inside, you want to give your brush as much time to be able to face down like this and allow the water to completely dry, especially through the bristles. The main reason why is because, just like our hair, boar bristle will absorb water into the bristles, and it takes them a little bit longer to dry. Even though it says 3 to 5 hours to be able to dry your brush. But if you want the full effect and you want your bristles to return to the normal state, if you wait 24 hours, I'm telling you, your brush will be back in the same state that you bought it. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and dry off the rest of my brushes and get back with you guys. Alright, so I'm back just to give you guys a wrap up. Now, when it comes to AG's wash method, it's my favorite wash method when it comes to cleaning my brushes. It's the best method out there. So I just wanted to be able to show you guys how my brushes look before as well as after. So this is how the palm brush looks as of right now. This bad boy is really clean. Now, depending on what you use to dry your brushes off, you may have a lot of lint that gets stuck into the bristles, and that's kind of the things that stuck all within these bristles and stuff like that. But to get that stuff out, all I would have to do is use the brush cleaner and just rake it through, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to the face of the brush as well as the bristles, like I showed you guys already, by the second time I washed, it lathered up, so that basically means that the bristles are clean. Now, when it comes to the curves, everybody want to know.
Alright, J-Lo, keep it 100% honest with me, you know what I'm saying? Did your brushes crack?
Now, one thing I want to tell you guys is I've washed this bad boy at least 3 or 4 times. I've only washed this one twice. When you look at both of them, as you can see, both of these brushes are clean, you know what I'm saying, all the way through. I don't have any issues in regards to how clean they are and how they look. Like I said, I may just have to rake through it with the brush cleaner to get rid of some of the lint from the towel that I use. Now, when it comes to curved brushes and washing them, you really have to follow this to the T. Even with me doing this, one thing I want to point out is my red curve already had a crack on it, and I'm gonna show you guys. Right here, this is where I had a crack on my red curve. Now, the reason why I got that crack was not because of the wash method. I dropped my brush on accident, and when I picked it up, I noticed that there was a crack that formed right there, and it kind of went through my brush like that. Now, with that being said, by using AG's wash method, I was still able to wash this bad boy and clean it all the way through, and the brush didn't crack any more than it's already cracked. So that just goes to show you that this method really does work, even on a brush that already has a crack on it. Now, once you have a brush that is cracked, what you have to do is take very good care of them. With that being said, since this brush is cracked, I'm not gonna leave it in the bathroom. I already explained it in my review of the 701 that I'll link right above here. I'm not gonna go into detail, but I'm gonna definitely keep using the AG wash method. And if this brush actually does crack, y'all already know I'm gonna come on camera and show y'all and make a video about it and everything like that. Now, one of the last things I want to say is you don't have to use a blow dryer when it comes to drying your brushes off. Some people, what they do is they take a little fan and they basically angle the fan up and they place their brushes on top of them, and that helps them dry their brushes. You don't need to apply any heat from a blow dryer. Just make sure that the bristles are face down so that any water that may be trapped in the holes where the bristles are stuffed, the water will be able to come out and it'll dry off like that, you know what I'm saying? That's the best way to dry your brush, and it really does avoid any potential cracks. I already showed you guys that I was able to wash my brush, one that was cracked and one that wasn't. So I just wanted to make this video to give you guys as many examples, you know what I'm saying? As long as you follow the directions the way that they're intended to be, your brush will be okay. Now, if it gets messed up, most likely you messed it up and you didn't follow a step. So with that being said, make sure you add this video to a playlist so you can find it a little bit later and share it with your friends. At the end of the day, what's the point of having good knowledge if you keep it to yourself? I hope this video helped you guys out. I hope that you guys know how to wash your brushes way better now. Sometimes you have to have somebody to show you the right way to do things, and with this method, it's gonna help make sure that your brushes look super clean. So with that being said, it's your boy J. Lou. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Salute!
Come brush with me, ayy, do what I do. Lou is the name, I'm so off the chain. Torino is the brush, do wet wood grain. Brush a wave, I have something. Brush a wave, I have something. Brush a wave, I have something. Brush a wave, I have something.